Hey everyone, Rob here, and we have updates on what's been going on regarding the volcano that has just ended in Iceland. And, we're gearing up for round two already. It's quite crazy that we're already there. Before we get to the news on the volcano, just a little bit news about Grindavik itself. And the police chief in the Sudanese area, we could see him here, Ulver Ludvigsson, says that he trusts himself to spend a night in Grindavik. He says the danger is low enough that he feels that it's safe enough. He's allowed the residents of the town to stay there now 24/7 starting tomorrow, which is the day before Christmas kind of thing. Christmas is celebrated on the 24th here in Iceland. Now, he, of course, understands the concerns of the search and rescue team who are asked to be relieved of their daily presence in and around the town. Now, the police chief, he was saying that, with this new risk assessment map, which is valid until December 29th, there is no possibility of an eruption in Grindavik, but it's still risk of earthquakes and other natural disasters. He says his opinion that under these circumstances, it's acceptable to give the residents of Grindavik the option of going home and staying there overnight. This is also coming off of the news of residents of Grindavik going to the Supreme Court and looking to file a lawsuit against various agencies and I think the Icelandic state for their decision to block them from their home. So they have since dropped that lawsuit, unknown reasons according to their lawyer, but most likely, in my opinion, it's due to the fact that they're allowed to go home. Now, again, when the police chief was asked, he said he would go and spend the night in Grindavik under the current conditions. And in a notice from the police, it stated that the current agreement will be valid over Christmas, but hopefully the police chief here, Ulfur, hopes that it can last longer. And this decision is going to be reviewed on December 27th. He does say, however, if there is an eruption in Grindavik, it's going to be complicated and a very difficult situation. But he assumes that this situation is not going to come up. And one of the reasons why, in his mind, he has now allowed people to go back to their home in sort of this time. And earlier today, of course, it was an announcement was received from the police in Sudanese that the kindness towards the rescue team has decreased. And that would have to be dealt with, of course. Right before Christmas, it's not the best news to hear. And the regional administration of the rescue teams has sought to the police chief in Sudanese that they were asking for them to be relieved from daily presence no later than today, December 22nd. And so after discussions and the cooperation with the police, civil defense, and the rescue teams, all that cooperation is really good. But of course, it's very hard to man and keep the rescue team shifts going, both in operations terms and field management. It's been an ongoing situation for a long time, over a month. We're 6 weeks in, and he totally understands the concerns of the rescue team and the problems that are arising. Stands with them as we all do. I don't think anyone is saying that they're not doing their best, but of course they have to reduce, they have to reassess, and the search and rescue, they want to go home to their families. So again, starting tomorrow, the residents of Grindavik can enter the town 24 hours, 24/7, sleep there, all that. So at the end, Christmas will be in Grindavik, and that's largely due to a revised assessment map that has come out. And we can see here that Grindavik here at the bottom is now a lesser risk than we saw 2 days ago from the meteorological office here in Iceland. So residents of Grindavik, business owners, their employees, everyone's authorized to go into the closed area, and residents may stay overnight. But they do say that unauthorized persons will not be admitted to for areas at this time. But major media outlets are authorized to enter, and so that's one of the big things. Now, of course, looking at some of these pictures, we'll just zoom in because it's always nice. As announced, and this is coming from the meteorological office in Iceland, the volcanic activity has ended, and that was announced yesterday. And almost 90 earthquakes were recorded over the corridor, which is slightly more than yesterday. And the biggest earthquake was a magnitude of 1.6 west of Hagafell, just over around 4 p.m. yesterday on the 21st. Now, An important note that they want to make is land immediately began to rise again at Svartsengi after the eruption began on Monday evening, December 18th. And the speed of this rise is higher than, for the eruption beforehand. So this means magma accumulation continues under Svartsengi, and it is likely to lead to another magma flow and potential eruption. So the most likely source area for the eruption is between Stora Skogsfeld and Hagafeld. So this is kind of the same area that we have been seeing. If we take a look at the map here, it is Stora Skogsfeld is right here, and Hagafeld is down here, sort of in the middle, which is why all of this is, colored as the most dangerous areas. Now, the land curve is measured from the magma run on November 10th until the eruption began on December 18th. Was characterized by a slowly decreasing, land rise. Where the eruption began, when the land rate had significantly decreased, this process is very likely to repeat itself, and it can be expected that the next magma run can start with little notice, because the last one basically started with very 90-minute notice or something like that. And they're saying that when it starts to slow down again, the probability of the eruption is pretty high. And they're saying that it's also a high probability, and the chance of an eruption with the land rising, it increases every single day. Now, again, looking at this new assessment map, we've got to zoom out to see it. This came into force 4 o'clock. This new risk assessment card at 4 o'clock today, which is the 22nd, is valid until December 29th at 6 p.m. And the big change on this is that zones 2 and 3 have been moved from a very high risk, which was this purple color, to just a high risk, which is this red. That's the big change that we've seen. So it's these middle ones here. Risk assessment in the other areas is unchanged. In particular, attention is drawn to the fact that the risk assessment for Grindavik is still unchanged from the previous risk assessment map, and they are saying it is still in considerable danger. Now, it's very interesting that, we have the police allowing people to go back home, and then we have the meteorological office saying that Grindavik is still in quite a bad situation, in considerable danger. Now, the meteorological agency points out that conditions can change very quickly. Of course, weather conditions at any given time can have a significant effect on the sensitivity of the meteorological agency's earthquake and GPS systems. So, being winter, in the middle of winter, in these conditions, the reaction time can be considerably longer, and in the measurements that they're getting may not be quite as accurate when we're looking at severe weather. So, the weather forecast for Grindavik is looking pretty good. Snow in patches, maybe a little bit of sleet, frost. It's -3 or 5, something like that. So it's not going to be too bad, and it should be a nice Christmas for everyone in Grindavik, and it hopefully won't be like this. So, looking at all of this information that we're getting, let's go ending on what we usually do before earthquakes and eruptions and things like that. Is we'll take a look at the earthquake map. We can see here, this is the Reykjanes Peninsula, of course. We can see here the earthquakes are still clustered around the same area, obviously very noticeable. We only have one that's kind of inching up towards 3, but we can see, today is Friday, of course. We can see that yesterday, very sparse, and then it dropped, very little activity, and now we're starting to see these clusters and this pattern of earthquakes. If we go to the table, we can see that there's a total of 197 over the last 48 hours, and we'll take a look at this again tomorrow, because every day is going to be, a new day, and taking a look at see how this activity, the land rise, and everything is shaping up altogether. So we might see, according to the meteorological agency and to various other people, every passing day is a chance for an eruption. So who knows? We talked about a Christmas eruption before. Maybe it'll happen again. But if I had to place my bets, I would say that we're probably safe for at least a couple days before something happens again. But as always, I will keep you up to date. Thank you so much for watching. That's all the news coming in on December 22nd. Be sure to subscribe so that you'll get all the news sort of poured into one place. very easily to digest, hopefully. So until next time, thank you so much for watching.